Do you know why she feels so comfortable playing games with you? Because she knows you're still seeking her approval. She senses it in your voice, your eyes, your hesitation. Women can smell weakness like wolves smell blood, and the man who seeks to please will always be ruled. The first truth you were never meant to know is this: the game is not about her liking you. It's about you deciding whether she is worthy of your time, your mind, your body. You are not a merchant selling attention to every passing stranger. You are the emperor of your own kingdom, and an emperor never begs a subject to stay. Every man who suffers in love suffers for one reason: he forgets himself. You forgot your mission. You forgot your value. You forgot that her beauty does not outweigh your purpose. A woman's ego grows in direct proportion to the power you surrender. You hand her your confidence, your time, your energy, and then wonder why she becomes arrogant. But here's the paradox. When you stop trying to make her feel important, she will fight for your attention. When you stop feeding her ego, she will chase the validation you withhold. This is not cruelty. This is nature. The lion does not explain to the gazelle why he hunts. He simply hunts. You must be prepared to walk away at any moment. This is the first rule to break her ego. Indifference is the sharpest sword a man can carry. A man who can turn and walk without a backward glance is a man she will never forget. Not because she wants him, but because he proved he doesn't need her. I am telling you this not so you can play games, but so you can escape them. Your power lies in stillness, in the calm refusal to be moved by her storms, in the quiet conviction that you are complete without her. Remember this, and the balance of power shifts. She can't manipulate the man who is willing to lose her, and she can't keep the man who's so key. Elle is already free. The second rule to break her ego is silence. Understand this well. Most men talk themselves into weakness. They over-explain, they justify, they beg to be understood. But a high-value man does not waste his breath proving his worth. He allows his actions, his presence, and his discipline to speak for him. Silence is not emptiness, it is power contained. When you do not respond to her games, her accusations, her manipulations, she is forced to wrestle with her own thoughts, and nothing terrifies a woman's ego more than her own imagination. Your silence makes her question. Your calm makes her restless. She will wonder, why does he not react? Why does he not fight for me? Why does he not fear losing me? And the absence of your response will echo louder than 1,000 words. You must understand that attention is currency. Every message, every compliment, every attempt to persuade is a coin you spend. And most men are bankrupt, giving away all their wealth to women who never invested in them. A Stoic man guards his attention like gold. He gives it rarely, and only when it serves his higher purpose. This scarcity makes it valuable. It is not cruelty. It is discipline. Ask yourself, why do you explain yourself to her? Why do you try to prove that you are right, that you are worthy, that you are enough? This is the mindset of a slave, not a king. A king does not justify his decisions to the court. He simply declares them, and they are law. This is why silence destroys her ego, because it communicates one thing more devastating than any words ever could. You are not in control of me. And when a woman realizes she cannot command your emotions, her entire strategy begins to crumble. Do not fear her leaving. Do not fear her anger. A man who fears loss is already lost, but the man who remains calm in silence becomes unforgettable. He is the storm she cannot tame, the fire she cannot extinguish, and in that stillness she will either submit or vanish, and both outcomes serve you. The third rule to break her ego is mastery over your emotions. Most men are slaves to reaction. She withdraws affection. You panic. She flirts with another man. You rage. She withholds intimacy. You beg. and with every reaction you reveal to her that she holds the strings. But imagine a man who does not flinch, a man who remains unmoved even when tested. This man terrifies the ego because he cannot be controlled. Understand this: women will always test you, not because they are cruel, but because nature demands it. They want to know if your masculinity is real, or if it is a mask waiting to fall apart under pressure. When she pushes, do not break. When she provokes, do not bite. When she withdraws, do not chase. The greatest strength a man can show is restraint. It is the discipline of the warrior, the still hand holding the sword. Remember, anger and desperation are the weapons of the weak. Calm is the shield of the strong. The ego thrives when you lose yourself, when your voice rises, when your heart races, when you surrender to her chaos. She feels powerful. But when you stand still, when your voice is measured, when your eyes remain steady, her ego begins to crumble. She realizes she is dealing with a man who governs himself, and a man who governs himself can never be governed by her. Detachment is not coldness, it is freedom. You do not suppress your emotions, you master them. You feel them fully, but you choose when and how they are expressed. This is the essence of Stoicism. The river flows, but the dam decides when to release its power. And here is the hidden truth. When a man does not chase, when he does not collapse under pressure, she feels both fear and attraction. Fear because she knows she cannot control him. Attraction because she knows she has found something rare. Most men bow. The high-value man does not bend. Do not confuse this with indifference to life. No, your passion must be directed, but towards your mission, your discipline, your empire. A woman is drawn into your orbit when she feels the gravity of your purpose. But if you orbit around her, you lose all weight. Control yourself, and you control the dynamic. Lose yourself, and you lose everything. The fourth rule to break her ego is this: never give her more than she earns. Weak men drown women in validation, in gifts, in attention, and then wonder why she treats them with contempt. Her ego swells because she has taken without cost. She has been crowned without battle. Understand this eternal truth. What is given too freely loses its value. A man's time, his presence, his intimacy, these are treasures. If you scatter them like coins on the street, do not be surprised when she steps over them without care. A woman respects only what she must work to obtain, and she values only what she fears to lose. Set boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they are gates, and you decide who enters. If she crosses your standards with disrespect, you withdraw access. If she plays with your time, you remind her it is scarce. If she takes you for granted, you remind her of your absence. The man who gives endlessly is forgotten. The man who withholds wisely is remembered. This does not mean cruelty, it means clarity. You do not punish her with rage, you teach her with distance. You do not scream, you withdraw. You do not argue, you enforce. A high-value man does not debate his worth. He requires it to be honored. When she realizes she must earn your attention, her ego trembles. Because ego thrives on entitlement, the belief that she deserves your devotion simply for existing. By setting boundaries, you strike at the heart of this illusion. You remind her that beauty is not enough, that charm is not enough. To stand beside you, she must bring more: respect, peace, loyalty. This is why men who are abundant in purpose and scarce with attention are magnetic. They are not chasing, they are choosing. They are not begging, they are evaluating. And here is the paradox. When you stop giving her everything, she begins to give more. When you demand respect through action, she seeks to provide it. When you stand as a man with gates, she must enter with honor. She either rises to meet you, or she fades away. Either way, you win. Remember this: the value of a king is not in his crown, but in the standards of his kingdom. Guard your gates, and her ego will bow before them. The seventh and final rule to break her ego is to become a man she cannot replace. Not by chasing her, not by giving her the world, but by living in such a way that your very presence is rare. Look around you. Most men are copies. Same words, same habits, same desires. They bend for beauty, they kneel for attention, they abandon their mission for the chance to be chosen. This is why women feel so powerful, because men make them gods. But when a man refuses to worship, when a man builds a life so strong that she must rise to even be considered, her ego fractures. Because she has met what she never expected, a man who does not need her, yet she needs him. How do you become this man? Through discipline, through purpose, through a relentless pursuit of mastery in body, mind, and spirit. You carve yourself into a weapon, not to harm, but to stand unmovable. You cultivate wealth, not just of coin, but of wisdom, influence, and vision. You make yourself the prize, and suddenly the dynamic shifts. Her ego cannot stand where her value is questioned. She begins to wonder, if I lose him, who else will I find like him? And the answer burns her from the inside: no one. Because men like you are rare. Because men like you are not waiting at her feet. Because men like you are kings who walk alone rather than kneel beside pretenders. Never forget this: women respect the man who can walk away, but they are bound to the man they cannot replace. Her ego thrives only when she believes she is the center. Break it by becoming the sun. Let her orbit you. Let her revolve around your mission, your vision, your empire. Do not orbit her. Do not bow to her. Do not surrender your essence for her approval. And here is the truth you were never supposed to hear. When you no longer chase, when you no longer beg, when you no longer bow, she will give you more than you ever asked for. Not because you demanded it, but because her nature compels her to submit to strength. Be that strength. Be that rarity. Be the man she cannot forget, cannot replace, and cannot control. Then her ego will not only break, it will kneel,